Hi, this is Cathy. I continue my series on the 36 decans of the zodiac today with Aquarius II, the second 10 degrees of the sign. If you check out my video on Aquarius 1, you'll see that the first 10 degrees of the sign have to do with that moment when we realize we need to break out of the structures of the norm, move from the known energy of that Capricorn earthiness into the unknown energy of the vast universe. And so there can be a real quality of feeling as though you're the outsider. Sometimes that can be difficult at the beginning of the sign. When we move into the second 10 degrees, we're at the part of the sign that is the fixed energy. It's the center part or the fixed part of the fixed sign of Aquarius. And here we're okay with being who we are, no matter how strange, no matter how different, no matter outside the norm. And what can come along with that for people who have points or planets in this part of the zodiac is there can be a way in which it threatens or it feels threatening to the rest of the world to come across somebody who's confident in being themselves in stepping out of the norm. One example chart I have is Barack Obama. He had his rising degree in this part of the zodiac. And I'll go through that at the end of the video. I'll also share the tarot card that's associated with this 10 degrees of the sign, and that's the Six of Swords. We'll talk about ancient esoteric texts that are associated or that describe this part of the zodiac. And then we'll talk about the tree of life in Kabbalah, the Sephirah number 6, and how that represents the energy of the sign. Overall, going through all of this, as well as the example from Barack Obama, will really get us a feel for the energy of this part of the zodiac. I hope you enjoy the video. If you do, it'd be great if you could like and subscribe. I'm trying to grow my channel right now. So let's start out talking about Aquarius, the sign. And just to get us grounded in the sign as a whole. So Aquarius is ruled by Saturn. Saturn's the last planet we can see with the naked eye, so it's about boundaries and restrictions, what's inside and what's outside. Think of it as this demarcation of the universe, right? We have Capricorn, which is sort of the energy of Saturn, but where you look at Saturn between here and the Earth. And then we have Aquarius, and that's Saturn and the outer universe. It's a really good way of thinking of Aquarius is Saturn facing the universe and wondering what interesting idea it can bring down to Earth from the unknown spheres, right? So that's one way to understand the sign. Aquarius is an air sign, so it's going to be about communication and thoughts and ideas. It has a detached quality because of that fact that it's ruled by Saturn and can have this quality of observing, right? Looking from Saturn down to the Earth. And Aquarius is a fixed energy. All the fixed signs have a stability, an enduring quality about them. They're consistent and persistent. They consolidate the energy and they sustain it. The fixed signs all happen during the middle of the season, and so that's part of the symbolic meaning. And then you can also look at the Greek myth of Ganymede to get a better understanding of this sign. Check out my video on Aquarius 1. I'll drop it below if you'd like to explore that a little bit more deeply. But for now, let's look at the other planets in addition to Saturn that are responsible for this part of the zodiac. We have Mercury ruling these 10 degrees under the triplicity system and Mercury ruling this 10 degrees under the Chaldean order. Mercury is the messenger to the gods. So he has to do with communication. He's a really fast-moving planet. He's got a flexibility and you think of mercurial having to do with the trickster quality of Mercury. If you can look at some of the ancient myths about Hermes, and you'll see he liked to play a few tricks on his big brother, the sun, Apollo. And so the flexibility of mind and the speed of mind and the intellect can come into play with this part of the zodiac. People who have points or planets there can have a serious mind that's willing to look at things from a detached perspective. Again, that Saturn kind of energy. Then we can take a look at the tarot card associated with Aquarius II, and we see it's the Six of Swords. And here we see what appears to be a woman in a boat with a child, and there's a man who's slowly leading her from troubled waters into the calm. It's a river, you can see, because they're leaving one place and they're moving toward another. There's a few different symbolic meanings you can get from this as far as the feeling of this part of the zodiac. One is, as I said before, Aquarius 1, that first decan, is a little troubled. That's the troubled waters in the background. It's difficult to separate out from the norm. That's what Aquarius tends to do when it starts off this journey from the known to the unknown. So you're moving, when you're in this second part of the zodiac, you're moving from those troubled waters and it's calm. You're in the center, if you can think of being in the center of a calm river, holding two disparate ideas or being okay with not being on firm ground, being grounded in the unknown, right? If you're in the middle of the river, you're going with the flow of life and you're okay with being in that center. And so we see the calmness there. The blue also can represent that thought, that Aquarian thought energy. And so we see here, as Rachel Pollack in 78 Degrees of Wisdom describes it, a passage from turmoil toward clarity, leaving conflict behind without denying what has been learned. Remember, the Aquarius 1 card was the Five of Swords, and that's that energy of breaking free from others that can lead to conflict sometimes. But now we're like, no, I'm okay. I'm good with standing in my own understanding and knowledge of the world. So here we have, as Rachel Pollack describes, the mind as a vessel carrying knowledge forward while releasing that emotional turbulence. I think of Barack Obama, and one of the nicknames for him was No Drama Obama. So this capacity to have a steady emotional presence, a steady, calm mind in the midst of reflecting on or carrying our own spirit into the world. And so then we can look at, in addition to that tarot card, we can look at the ancient texts associated with this part of the zodiac. I'll read the texts and then give you a little interpretation. Ibn Ezra, a very black man whose beard is long, and in his hand a bow and arrows and purses that contain precious stones and gold. The Picatrix, a man like unto a king who values himself much and who shuns those whom he sees. And this is a face of beauty and of position and of having that which one seeks, of completeness, of harm and weakness. Agrippa, a man with a long beard, and the signification of this belongeth to the understanding, meekness, modesty, liberty, and good manners. So there's a lot there. We have to understand everything that's said symbolically. For example, when it says a very black man, that's a reference to Saturn. Saturn was known as the black planet. When a couple of these excerpts speak of a very long beard, this is the idea that this was understood in medieval times, that a long beard kind of showed character. It takes a long time to grow a beard. You've lived through life. People with a long beard, older men, there's this idea of wisdom that can come with that. And that's the energy of Saturn. Saturn is the Lord of time. He rewards us for the effort we put in over a long period of time, understanding our limitations. And so again, that's that lived life energy of of this part of the zodiac. We can also think about the fact that a beard covers the face. And there's something about people with planets or points in this part of the zodiac that they're self-contained. There's an inner quality, a not exposing oneself, not needing to share every internal thought with the world because one is not seeking approval from the world. One is self-contained and able to hold one's position. And then we can also look at, there's a lot more we could talk about. One thing I'd like to highlight there is a man like unto a king who values himself much and shuns those whom he sees. There is a quality, we're going to talk later, compare this part of the zodiac with Leo II, the decan opposite to Aquarius II, where Leo II is about sort of being held on high as a king, like literally by the outer world, seeking the approval or enjoying basking in the light of other people's admiration. Here we have a king, but again, it's an internal king, a comfort with that internal sense of authority. Here it says a man like unto a king who values himself. So he's got his own internal sense of guidance and comfort. And the idea of shunning others is, sometimes people with points or planets in this part of the zodiac, because they're pretty confident and comfortable with themselves, it can feel like a threat to other people because they're not looking for society's approval around what they do. This can disturb other people because we are so used to in this culture, and I think human beings as a whole, trying to fill ourselves up or our sense of our own lack by seeking approval from others. And there's a little bit less of that vibe with people who have prominent placements in this part of the zodiac. So I think that's a good amount. I could go on, but we don't want to make this too long. Then we can look at the tree of life. And this is a mystical diagram that represents the descent of divine inspiration into the material world. It's from the an ancient text. And so there's this lightning flash that traces the flow of creative energy from the divine source at Cater down and through into the physical world when you get to the number 10 Malkuth. This process illustrates how spiritual concepts take form and manifest in reality, connecting the divine to the earthly realms. When we look, the way that we understand which part of the tree of life corresponds to a decan is we look at the tarot card that's associated with it, the number there. Here, since we have the Six of Swords, we're at Tifereth, the number 6 on the tree of life. So we're moving from the number 5, Gabora, to the number 6. And the number 6 corresponds to the heart of the tree. The pillar, it's on the pillar of balance. So again, we're in this, if you look at the tarot card where the person is in the center of the river, or think about the idea of Aquarius, fixed sign, fixed part of the fixed sign. We're in this centering place where we're comfortable with ourselves. Where Gabora breaks into that 5 energy is like a breaking open, a breaking out of the structure of the 4. We're in the 6 now, moving from the 5 to the 6. We're like, okay, we're holding this energy. We're content and we're comfortable. In the 6 of Swords, movement occurs not through force, but through understanding. Conflict is left behind in favor of clarity and direction. Tifereth's quality is centering, the calm intelligence that emerges after struggle. And in Aquarius, this appears as mental objectivity and purposeful transition. The figure in the 6 of Swords travels from from troubled waters to calmer waters, carrying lessons learned without a need to relive the battle. Again, no drama Obama, this centering, detached relationship to life, which at times, that can be difficult. If you have points or planets in this part of the zodiac, you might have people think that you're a little too detached. You're not able to connect to your emotions, but that's not true at all. It's just that you're comfortable with being set apart and with not bringing those out into the world. We'll talk about that again with Obama. So this is where I really wanted to compare, for illustrative purposes, the difference between Leo II, the second decan of Leo, and Aquarius II, the second decan of Aquarius, because comparison can really help delineate and help us understand the meaning of something. So where Leo II is ruled by the sun and all the other planets revolve around the sun. And so Leo energy is inspiring. It's look at me. And that's what it's meant to be. It's like, look at me, I'm the king. I must be admired. I should be admired. You get to admire me. That's the Leo energy of the sun. And then the second decan has Jupiter and Jupiter as the decanic rulers, and Jupiter expands. It's about optimism. It's about possibility. It's about benevolence. It's about receiving wonderful things. So when you get the sun energy with Jupiter, we get someone who is lauded and applauded by the world, and a danger of hubris, of becoming inflated and thinking you really are all that because the gods have bestowed this amazing energy of expansion and achievement on you. And so you can see that energy in the Six of Wands card, where someone is being celebrated. It's called, I think it's called the Lord of Victory or something like that. Check out my Leo 2 video. I'll drop a link to that below as well. But the opposite energy of that is, instead of being like, hey, look at me, and I'm basking in the light of admiration, it's I'm basking in my own capacity to be with myself, be with my own thought structure. If it is not in line with that of the world, I'm okay. And I want to bring those thought structures and some of my ideas into the world. I hope the world appreciates them, but I'm okay if others don't agree with me. I'm okay with myself. I'm calm and centered in being that outsider who brings a new vision into the world. And so we really see that with the chart of Barack Obama. He was our 44th president. And throughout his career, he had this quality of stepping back rather than casting himself as the hero. That's the very opposite energy of that Leo 2 decan. He put his focus more on the systems that he wanted to develop and his thought structures than on himself personally. During the 2008 financial crisis, he presented his role as that of coordinator, bringing together economists and institutions, emphasizing systems, data. That is so Aquarius too. There's a scientific quality to the energy. And long-term stability over dramatic gestures. His restraint was striking given the scale of the crisis I lived through. It was a big deal. A lot of people were really nervous, but he was like trying to find a calm center in the midst of that and get information and thought structures, ideas to try to handle it, as opposed to making it about him as the president. This distance shaped his communication style as well. He spoke slowly, he paused, he framed events in constitutional or structural terms, very Aquarian. After mass shootings or moments of national grief, he acknowledged pain, but guided conversation toward restraint. That's very Saturnine. Shared values and civic responsibility rather than emotional escalation. Again, Aquarius is a sign that's about humanity as a whole, as opposed to the individual. It's wanting to serve the gods. That's that myth of Ganymede that I talked about in my Aquarius 1 video. So it's interesting, as I said, sometimes when we're centered and we feel confident in ourselves and our ideology, it can feel threatening to other people. And Obama did receive criticism. Detractors, including Cornel West and many media commentators, described him as aloof, professorial, and too detached. A lot of times that's how Aquarian energy can be described. Even the phrase "no drama Obama" carried both praise and unease. People were kind of uncomfortable with that detachment. And as I said earlier, in contrast to Leo 2, which seeks recognition, Aquarius 2 is content without it. Obama's authority came from staying centered in his own frame of reference. The Six of Swords shows his leadership through steadiness, that steady, calm quality, lowering the temperature, holding balance, and moving forward without needing to be the focus. So I think he's just an excellent example of this energy. I'd love to hear from you if you have points or planets in this part of the zodiac, whether you resonate with this, maybe tell a story or two. Feel free to drop your thoughts in the comments, and I'll see you in a bit for Aquarius 3, the last 10 degrees of the sign. Have a great day.